Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Blessed and Bold, where we empower women to walk confidently in faith and just embrace their God given purpose. Whether you're tuning in from the office, you're at home, you're chilling with your girlfriends, or you're having a very late lunch, this episode is just for you. So, today's topic is something that we all struggle with. It is bringing God into your workplace. Is it possible to live out our faith in environments that don't reflect our values? So I want you to please join me in welcoming a very special guest, Robin. She is a highly respected and accomplished professional in her field. She has a strong track record of excellence. She brings a wealth of experience, insight, and integrity in every endeavor that she, takes on. And most importantly, she is a powerful woman of God. So, Robin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Please tell me a little bit about your professional background.
Okay. So I'm Robin, and I actually am an attorney. I work for the state of Georgia, and just was there 21 years now.
Wow.
In April. It's been 21 years. And recently moved into more of a management role, and so don't do quite as much lawyering as I used to. I do more mentoring,
Okay.
Managing personnel, employees, that sort of thing.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
it's a little different.
A little different. Okay. All right. And how has your faith impacted your work journey over these 21 years?
So I tell people that if you had told me 6 years ago that I would be where I am now, I would have had no understanding of how I would have gotten here.
Okay.
And I think my career journey is a perfect example of how God will open and close doors and direct us in the way He wants us to go. And His plan is so much better than anything that we could do. And looking back now, I see why He closed certain doors and why He brought certain people into my path.
Okay.
And so I encourage people to be patient.
Just be patient. Yep. Wait. Okay. All right. Talking about jobs, what was your very first job? And did you ever think that God would use that experience later in life? And has He used that experience?
So in high school, I was
Okay.
part of the, I think it was my senior year, we had the option of doing some sort of on-the-job training as credit. And so I did that, and I worked at an insurance company as
Okay.
a file clerk.
Okay.
So what was great about that job is it certainly, well, it was inside, so I appreciated that. But it also allowed me to be with adults, helped me to learn responsibility.
Grow up a little.
Yes,
Yeah,
earn
yeah.
some money,
Yeah.
all of that. And what's interesting as far as whether it impacted my future career, my first job after college was at an insurance defense law firm.
Okay.
So I at least knew the terms and
Yeah.
stuff that were being used.
Okay.
So see, God
All
did
right,
bring
God-
it around.
God did bring it around. Okay, awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. You already know that this is going to be impactful, powerful, and just things that you really need to hear. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would love to know just how comfortable are you sharing your faith at work? So, right before we jump into these questions, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being you're super comfortable and you tell everybody that you can, just how comfortable are you sharing your faith at work? All right, Robin. How comfortable are you sharing your faith at work? 1 to 10, where are you?
So I would say it depends on the day and
Okay.
it depends on the people.
Okay.
But I would say generally about 7.
About 7? Okay. All right. That's a good number. All right. So oftentimes we hear in the Bible, work as unto the Lord. What does it really mean to work as unto the Lord in a secular job?
So I think whether you're in a secular or, a Christian
faith
job,
job,
I think it is seeking excellence, doing what we're supposed to be doing as unto the Lord. And so I think with regards to that, it's making sure you're getting the job done that you're supposed to be doing. It's making sure that you have a good attitude.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things are what I think pleases God. And people watch us, and we
Yeah.
need to make sure that we are, whether we're in a secular job or a Christian job, doing
what we're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this one is a hard one for me because oftentimes, you want to talk about God and you're told, oh, you're so preachy, or you're so pushy. I'm not there yet. So how can we bring our faith to work without being preachy or pushy?
Okay. So I'm very much not a preachy or pushy person.
Okay.
I'm not somebody who has all the signs in my office that, but I do believe that God brings opportunities for us to share. And
Okay,
so
that's good.
there have been circumstances where an employee is going through a rough time. And in that one-on-one, I say, I'm a Christian and I firmly believe in the power of prayer. And so I'll be praying for you. That sort of thing. Just indicating if somebody asks how your weekend was, saying, well, yeah, we had this church picnic. And just there those day-to-day interactions through relationships.
Right. Okay. And what do you think about those that are preachy? Well, what if I want to be preachy at work, Robin? I just want to go out and just want to put up a sign. I'm a Christian, please go read your Bible.
So I think that's great if they're feeling led to be that way. I think that there's some caution that might need to come with that because again, everybody is watching you and we're not perfect. But yet they will label us as a hypocrite if we stumble. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm not preachy. Also, to be honest, I'm in government, and so there is some limitation in what I feel comfortable saying.
Okay. All right, here's a good one. As you said, you're in government. Have you ever faced opposition or spiritual challenges at work? And how did you respond? How did you deal with it? How did you overcome that situation?
So now, in my current role, the biggest issue that I have is personnel. It's employees, dealing with people. And so when I have difficult or need to have difficult conversations with them, I'm always praying ahead of time. And sometimes I'm praying during the meeting because things, I want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing, that I am de-escalating the situation, things like that. And so prayer is very much an active part of any sort of challenge that I'm encountering.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So, changing, you've been in your current job, but you've changed. How can we discern God's calling in our career or job changes? What if it was not something God was calling me to do? How can I know what the best decision is to make in that moment?
Well, I think that's where you need to be in the Word. You can hear God through your daily devotions. Also, I firmly believe that God brings people into our lives with messages. And so, if you have godly friends, I'd reach out to them and see what they think about the opportunity and pray about it.
Okay. And what advice would you give someone who's struggling to find purpose in their current job?
So, again, I think we're called to be excellent in whatever role God currently has us in. And so we need to be patient. We need to pray. And I think just continue to do a good job where we currently are. And so whether that's, in an office, whether it's your dream job or not your dream job, we just need to make sure that we're doing a job as unto the Lord.
Okay, that's good. All right. I would also say, your job is what you do. It's not who you are. So if you anchor your identity in your values and your relationships and not in your title, it makes it just a little bit easier for you to be able to work in that excellence, to continue to do a good job, even if it's not what you want to do. Oh, and invite God into the process. He talked about praying and just constantly keeping, in communication with God. So, ask him, what are you trying to teach me here? What do I need to learn here to move into the next part of what you'd want me to do? All right. Viewers, I would love to know, what is one way you try to represent Christ at work? We just talked about a whole laundry list of things that Robin does. So what is one way in which you guys show up you represent Christ at work? All right. Now, I'm all about practicality. I love to, tips and tricks and whatever it is that we can do. So now we're moving into that portion of our talk. And I'd love to know, because you know what? We talk about people and you're peopling all the time. How can we navigate those difficult coworkers with grace and just boundaries? What are some things that we can do so we're not losing our cool at work and we are really representing Jesus at work?
So James 1:19 is kind of my mantra, and it's everyone should be slow to speak and quick to listen. And so I have slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to speak, quick to listen.
That's hard, Robin, because I want to respond to that girl at work. She said something I didn't like, and I really wanted to respond. Yeah. That's kind of hard, Robin. That's kind of hard.
Yeah, well, but that's why if you have it ingrained in you, then that should be your first instinct, is to listen. Because, of course, there's always going to be conflict just because we're humans. And so it's how we react to that conflict. We need to try to de-escalate, see things from that other person's perspective, and try to work it out.
Oh, that's kind of hard. Okay. All right, here's another one. Choose grace and not gossip. A lot of times, we just get, so caught up and our emotions are high and, we're angry, we're annoyed, we're upset, whatever it is. And we just want to go to our favorite coworker, you know who it is, and we just want to talk. It's tempting to vent, but venting also sometimes, it fuels bitterness. And bitterness can lead to a bad, work-life relationship or, your relationship with your coworkers. So pause before reacting, stop and say your mantra, whatever it is in your head, and then keep moving. Okay. How about boundaries? How can I set healthy boundaries with my coworkers for it not to seem like I'm being mean, but, just set some guidelines? How can we do that while still honoring God?
Well, I think it's making sure you're not inviting the person to exceed those boundaries by going there first.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think I'm a very relational manager, or at least I try to be.
Yeah.
And so I want people to develop relationships and feel comfortable going to each other. But there's also work to be done. And so if it's something that it is impacting your ability to do your work, then you just have to be honest to that person. I'm sorry, I've got this deadline and I can't talk right now, or I'm not comfortable talking about that topic.
Okay.
And just kind of be honest with people.
Okay. All right. How can we be a light without compromise? When do we speak and when do we be silent and lead by example?
So I think that when you pray, God will tell you when you should be speaking and when you should be leading more by example. And, I'm a firm believer in just God will be there. He will tell you what you should be saying and what you should be doing if you're seeking Him.
Okay. I also have that, sometimes our light is so loud. Just the way we show up, the way we carry ourselves, the peace, the way that we work with integrity, or just how we treat other people. It's loud. So Matthew 5:6 says, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good deed and glorify your Father in heaven. So if they're seeing all that light, they're seeing Robin doing an amazing job and she's treating that person with kindness, even when, we know what's going on at work, and she's showing up and just being there. I think that also, even without saying anything, we're just really reflecting that image of God.
Well, and just to build off of that, there's so much kind of vitriol just in general. And if we take a step back and realize that maybe that person is having a bad day. So let's not escalate it. Let's take a moment, maybe go back to them the next day and say, hey, is there a problem here? Try to work it out. Don't let things fester.
That's good. Okay. All right, so we talked about, not working in our dream job, and I know, many of you may not be in your dream job, and even if you are, then that's great. Kudos to you. But for those who aren't, how can we find contentment in the job that we're in right now?
So going back to how I started, it took me 16 years to get to the position of the type of law that I intended to do when I graduated from law school. And so you're not always going to have your dream job, but every job, God has put you in that place to learn something, to be a light to someone, to serve a purpose, and to meet people that might end up helping you get your dream job.
Right.
So you need to take advantage of where you are now, and then allow God to move
in that
where He wants you to be, and hopefully that will align with what you want to.
Okay, but 16 years is a long time.
Oh, it is. It was a long time.
Yeah. How can I not be complacent? How can I be like, you know what? Whatever, God. I obviously it's not working out. It's not going to happen for me. How can I, stay away from that? How can we just stay content but not complacent?
Well, I think again, it's praying, it's being in the Word. It's also having a good core people around you,
community,
to advise you and encourage you that this situation will get better, or another opportunity will come, and that God is just building us, building our character in these difficult times, and maybe our dream job shouldn't be our dream job.
Right, there you go. I was about to ask you, how did you know that was your dream job? How do you know that was what you wanted to do?
Well, I felt going into law school that I wanted, but I also felt that He was leading me toward environmental law.
Okay.
But when I graduated, there was no environmental law position open, and I tried to get into environmental law several times, and the doors kept closing. But after 16 years, an opportunity came along, and I would never have had that opportunity if I had not learned the things I had learned in those previous jobs, as well as meeting the people along the way that networked for me and had confidence in my ability that I could handle this new position.
Okay.
And so I just think that we need to realize we can't see God's entire plan, but His plan is so much better than what we can come up with.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we talked about praying, and I want to know, what are some practical ways that we can pray at work? Just a lot of times I think we think of praying as, hands folded, eyes closed, and we don't stop to think that prayer is a conversation. So how can we really invite God in to every step of our jobs?
I can tell you, whenever an employee comes into my office and shuts the door, my first instinct, I'm praying, because I don't know what's coming.
Okay.
And so I need Him to be present and advise me and what to say and how to deal with the situation. The other thing, practical, what I found is the YouVersion app specifically has, you can have a prompt, a reminder to pray. You can set it for a certain time during the day. And so that is good. It pops up on my cell phone, and then I'll be like, thank you, Lord, and pray. And so that's a practical thing that somebody can do.
Okay. And you say, prepare prayer while you prepare. So before you even open an email, before you enter a meeting, before you even clock in, the second you pull up and you park your car, just say a little prayer. Just say, God, help me bring peace into this space that I'm going in today. Or you talk about the YouVersion, prayer triggers. That's something that's been pretty helpful. Every time you answer the phone, Lord, just let me respond with patience. Whatever it is that you need to be reminded of, then I think that can be your prayer time. All right. And this one is very near and dear to my heart, because I'm a girl's girl. I am all for the girls. How can we encourage other women in the workplace? I think we are in such a time where if we're not tearing down someone else to get where we want to go, oh, you're not doing a good job, you're not doing it. How can we encourage the other women in our space?
Well, I think we need to make sure that they are getting the affirmations that they need, the confidence boosters. They are feeling comfortable coming to me or to mentors in their life with issues, and they're not going to feel like they're going to be judged or that it's going to impact their the assignments that they might get if they're somehow indicating that they're a little uncomfortable with a situation, that sort of thing. And just make sure that my role as a boss is to make sure everybody's getting opportunities.
Okay.
But certainly to the extent I'm feeling that a specific, female in my
Your space.
my space is falling behind or doesn't seem like they are contributing, trying to find out what the issues are and trying to help out.
Trying to help out, okay. We talked about being a safe space. I also have, speak life. A lot of times we underestimate the power of a kind word. Hey, you're doing a good job in this area, or I noticed how you handled that situation. That was good. I think we need to empower the women in our space, women you encounter, or whatever it is. If you can speak life to someone, then you're doing what God called you to do. And I think that is just something that has helped me along the way, just not to compete with another woman, celebrate her journey, wherever she is, just to celebrate her. All right, awesome. All right, my next question for our viewers, it's not a question. I would love for you to find a coworker and tag them in this video. We are being bold, so tag them in this video and encourage them, let them know that you were made for more than just a paycheck. So if that is going to be helpful to someone, just let them know that they have a purpose. And my final question to you, Robin, is what are some ways that we can encourage someone who is far in their walk with Jesus in our workplace? Because we need to be, fishers of men. How can we do that in our work in the most subtle ways, whatever ways that you found helpful? Just how can we be fishermen at work?
So I think it's, again, leading by example, the things we say, things that we do, all pointing to God. If opportunity arises, then, of course, as I said, mentioning that we'll pray for them if they're going through difficulties. But I just think it's specifically for me as a boss, it's having that encouraging word. It's being open and available for them to come and talk to, and just kind of pointing to Christ through our actions.
Okay, so it is not difficult. It might be hard and it might be challenging, but it's not impossible. You can find ways, if you want to, find ways to really lead them to Christ in the most subtle ways possible. If it's just hey, I know you're going through something difficult, I'll pray for you. If they don't receive it, that's okay, because you know what? You may not be the one to bring them to Christ, but you dropped the seed. They heard the word. They know that there's a God that, we can pray to. So you are called to be light wherever it is that you work. Even if you're just gardening and you see a neighbor, wherever it is, whatever work you're doing, you're called to be light. So God uses every role, every season, every position for his purpose. And your identity is not in what you do, but it is who God says that you are. So this week, I want you to find a way in which you can encourage someone that you, in your daily life, whether it's you're praying for them, you pray before a meeting, whether you're encouraging someone, just whatever way that you can honor him. I'd love for you guys to do that this week. All right, Robin, we're going to ask you to pray for our viewers, and then we'll wrap up with our final thoughts.
Okay, wonderful. Lord, thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to guide people to how to interact in the workplace. Thank you for this Blessed and Bold podcast and what Kim is doing. Thank you for the people who tuned in live, as well as the people who are going to be watching this broadcast later. I just ask that you please make your presence known, that you give them comfort and where they are now in their work life, that what they're going through now is not what they're going to be going through, maybe a year from now, and that they need to be patient, that they need to trust you, that they need to just work the best that they can in excellence and honor to you, and that